Arsenal doing what they do best, getting a red card for no good reason. VAR doing what it does best, bailing Man City out. And Man United almost doing what they do best, and shitting the bed against an inferior opponent. But before we get into that, go ahead, drop a follow on my IG at thefatasian, trying to get up to 5K by the end of the year. But without further ado, let's begin. And first, let's talk about the big matchup of the week. That was Chelsea versus top of the league, Liverpool. This is the start of the hard run for the league leaders, and many were intrigued to see how they would do up against a red-hot Chelsea and their mouth-breathing player of the month, Cole Palmer. And the answer was relatively easy work. Slutball kept it slutty heading into Halloween weekend, making it 7 wins out of 8 to start the season. Well, on the flip side, this is a bit of a reality check for the Blues. Yes, Maresca Ball is improving the squad overall, but yeah, they're not up to the quality. Not really to Liverpool. They still are kind of a one-man band, with a bunch of talented but inconsistent players around him. But on a positive note, and a rare note, Reece James played a game in the Premier League. I know. It's like seeing a shiny Pokemon in the wild. When I saw this, my first thought was someone needs to make one of those like highlight compilations. You know, after every game Messi plays, it's just like every touch from Lionel Messi versus DC United. Someone has to make that for Reece James. Oh my God, no fucking way. Bro, someone beat me to it. Someone made a Reece James is back against Liverpool compilation. Oh God, it's 500 views. This guy knew. Do you think this guy made it ironically? Like, haha, Reece James is back. This is a parody compilation? Or is this guy just like a diehard Chelsea fan? I need to know these things. This is like the real shit. Anyway, I'm gonna leave a link to this. You could click up here if you're not on mobile. Because, I mean, who knows? This could be the last time we see Reece James playing in the Premier League. Moving on to Man United, and oh man. They only played the first half. They would definitely be in Hatewatch. As per usual, as expected, every single weekend, they come out looking like dog shit up against the Bees.
Beads.
Bees?
Beads.
Beads?
The Bees had the better chances, and it looked like we were going to go into the halftime 0-0. But then what proceeds is a comedy of errors. First, Man United have a throw-in in the dying moments of the game. All they need to do is just like toss it away. Or I don't know, toss it one of your players, clear it out, and we're going to half. But this is Man United. And what proceeds to happen is the worst professional throw-in I've ever seen in my life. A softball to no one. If anything, it was directly into the Brentford midfield, who break forward and win themselves a corner. This corner undoubtedly is going to be the last kick of the half, and De Ligt, who already had to go off about 5 minutes earlier because he has a gushing head wound on the top of his head, the blood is streaming down his head like one of those volcano science projects he had to do in 3rd grade. So for the final corner of the half, the ref sends him off the pitch, and Man United have to play with 10 men. And then the most predictable thing happened. The man down, Manchester United concede a corner, and it is just horrendous set-piece marking. A hallmark of the Ten Hag era. And as they go into halftime, down 1-0 to Brentford, I, as a Man United fan, begin to disassociate. I started to remember what it was like when I first became a Man United fan, and I was watching the likes of Rooney, Ronaldo, Scholes, and now I look at the team sheet, and I see in our starting lineup that we're employing a man who was legally declared dead at one point. We literally have a dead man walking on the pitch, and the worst part about it is he's one of our better players. This is how sad life has gotten as a Manchester United fan. But you know who was even sadder? The haters. Because then the cycle of Man United began, and every Man United fan knows this, at least in recent years. Every fucking time Erik ten Hag's shiny bald head is on the chopping block, all of a sudden Manchester United transform into prime MSN. They come roaring back in the second half, win the game 2-0. I mean, look at this. Look at this second goal by Højlund. The Bruno Fernandes flick. Where has this been? We can actually score an attractive goal? This is a sign of the coming apocalypse. And I mean, come on. Erik ten Hag keeps on talking all this shit in the press like, oh, there's no pressure. Everyone's locked in. It's just a lot of media noise. Look at his reaction after the Højlund goal. I've never seen this fucker happier in his life. He knows what it means. He gets to keep his job for another week. And honestly, this belongs in Hatewatch Corner because honestly, as funny as it is for Manchester United to lose to Brentford, the rest of the Premier League is probably rejoicing at the fact that we have to live with Erik ten Hag for another week. So yeah, that's what it's like being a Man United fan right now. Even when we win, we lose. Arsenal, oh Arsenal. Just why? Why do you guys love getting red cards for no reason? Why is this your kink this season? You're going up against a team that is nicknamed the Cherries. They catch you sleeping for a second. Emma Nielsen's on a breakaway. And Saliba, in a moment of madness, goes ahead and drags him down. You're one of the fastest center backs in the world. One, you could probably get back into the play, affect it a little bit. But no, you go drag the man down, no one's around you, and you get sent off. My man, what are you doing? It's Bournemouth. Even if you go down 1, you could come back easy. Man City, let teams score first all the time just for fun. But going down to 10 men early, that's a tough ask. And losing the best center back in the world for the rest of this game and the next game against Liverpool, well, that makes it catastrophically worse. If anything, let Gabriel get the red card because you're too valuable. Come on, Saliba. Be smarter. But the flip side is, I mean, there is no other team in the league this year that has more experience playing with 10 men, even early in games, than Arsenal. And I don't know if there was something in the water, but it was just a red card happy weekend in the Premier League. I mean, look at all these red cards. My theory is the rest have been watching the high-profile games, and they wanted to get on the fun, too. They went all gambit. They were like, ooh, I'm going to make a name for myself. Yes, everybody got a red card this weekend. But yeah, unfortunately, this time, Arsenal wasn't so great with 10 men, and it didn't help that they were already hurting before the match. No Odegaard through injury, no Bukayo Saka through injury, and I would say the main reason why they were able to play pretty well with 10 men in the last 2 games that they got a red card in was because they had William Saliba. You can make a pretty firm argument that he might be the most important piece to this Arsenal team. They might have well won the league 2 years ago if he didn't get injured. And in this match, where they were missing him, they could not hold down the fort. The Cherries put 2 past them, and that would be the final scoreline, which led to the announcer doing this.
Being in the Premier League is a treat for a club like Bournemouth. Days like this provide a memorable cherry on the top.
Bro, why? Why? England, why do you love puns so much? You're the country that invented the language, that gave us Shakespeare. You're supposed to be more elevated. So why are you a sucker for dad jokes? Like, puns are the lowest form of humor. Do better. And with this costly loss, it just feels like it's not Arsenal's year. Between the injuries and the red cards, it's just not happening for you guys. But here's like the worst fucking part about this game. I can't even laugh at Arsenal because with this win, Bournemouth actually go above my beloved Manchester United in the table. God, we're such a joke of a team. Then in random non-Premier League news, we had Thomas Tuchel being appointed as the head coach of the England national team. And then the British sports media lost their fucking minds. A dark day for England? Bitch, he's German, not Hitler. For all the fucking brain-dead Brexit crowd saying that the English coach should be English. Bro, really? Bro, you want more Southgate terrorism? The guy who refused to play your best player for most of the Euros? Do you know what I would give if Thomas Tuchel was the head coach of the U.S. men's national team? And in fact, I think he's a complete slam dunk hire for you guys. He already knows how to deal with the English media. He's at his best in a tournament format. Like, do you remember when he took an underperforming Chelsea team and won the fucking Champions League? And yes, he's kind of an asshole and tough to work with. That has been the same everywhere he's gone. But also, everywhere he's gone, they acknowledge that he is one, if not the best, tactical mind in modern football. And certainly an upgrade over Southie G. So I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. I thought American sports media was bad. But England, I'll give it to you. You guys are somehow worse. All right, let's mix things up. I've been hearing a couple of you guys just talking away in the comment section about, oh, he only cares about the big teams, never talks about the small teams. How can you call yourself a Premier League show if you don't cover all the teams? Listen, bro, I cover this for Americans. Americans ain't gonna wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning to watch fucking Ipswich Town. But you know what? You want me to talk about small teams? I'll talk about small teams the way that I want to. So I'm gonna give you guys a new segment to shut you guys all up. This will be called Survival of the Shittest, where we look at all the teams at the bottom of the table, barely scraping by to survive. Now, first off, I've already talked about Everton and Sean Dyche, and I always knew that he would get those little blue lizards out of the snake pit. They got another win this weekend. They're up to 8 points. They're looking good. They're gonna probably finish right around mid-table, which leaves 4 teams really in the relegation battle this year, at least so far. And the first team I'll talk about with 4 points, barely keeping their heads above the relegation zone water, is newly promoted Ipswich Town. Fun fact about them, Ipswich is one of the oldest towns in all of the UK, which makes a lot of sense because their crest is a fucking medieval castle. Now, as we drop into the dreaded relegation zone, in 18th place, and kind of surprising, is Crystal Palace, because they were a pretty good team last year. A staple of the Premier League for a decent amount of time. They got a penchant for developing some of the best flair, tricky wingers in the Premier League. A fun fact about them is that they have a nightclub built into their home ground, which is like, why? This just seems like their owner is some sleazy guy. Why do you have a nightclub built into your fucking home ground? And it's called Crystals. And I haven't looked this up, but I heard that if they actually do get relegated, they convert the nightclub into a strip club. You got to make back the money somehow. And I mean, come on. There's no way you have a club called Crystals and you don't employ strippers. That just doesn't happen, at least in America. If your establishment is called Crystals, you either employ strippers or you sell actual crystals to weird white girls. You know what I'm talking about? That pink shit? But I digress. Moving on. Below them, in 19th place, is Southampton. They are, again, one of the newly promoted sides, and they used to be, I would say, a staple of the Premier League. And the names that they brought through their door are astonishing. Gareth Bale, Virgil van Dijk. They're kind of like the Oakland A's of the Premier League in a way. They're the first ones to see a discrepancy in the system and moneyball their way to building a good team. But then everybody figured out what they were doing, and now, example, Brighton do it better. And so far, so bad in the return to the Premier League this year. Yeah, it's not looking good. They're probably going to get relegated again, and it's going to start a vicious cycle where they have to sell off a lot of their talented youngsters. Maybe even have a couple of them work over at Crystals, if you know what I mean. Listen, it's a tough economy right now. Then that leaves the team at the rock bottom of the league, and that is Wolverhampton Wanderers. Yes, the same team that Noni Madueke accidentally dropped on IG that their whole entire town was a piece of shit, and then proceeded to drop a hat trick on their fucking heads. The man trolled and then stood on business, and you gotta respect that. Now, to be fair to them, they've been pretty unlucky. They've had arguably the hardest opening to the season so far, schedule-wise. But the good news about that is that it only gets easier from here. In fact, who do they play this week? Man City. Fuck. Yeah, sorry, Wolves, when it rains it pours. But actually, they came out of the gate flying. A sweeping, counter-attacking movement catches the champs off guard, and Wolves go up 1-0. But eventually, Manchester City, through their center back and part-time striker, Gvardiol, hits just a stunning strike. In all honesty, they should just start playing Gvardiol in like the midfield, or as a cam, or as a shadow striker, because he's a better finisher than half that team. But the big controversy in this match came in the 95th minute. Wolves were holding on to a 1-1 draw, a vital point up against the champs that would rise them from the rock bottom of the league. It would have been such a coup. But in the 95th minute, off of a corner, John Stones finds the back of the net, and the whole team erupts. But as this is happening, both coaches of both teams run to the fourth official and argue their point. And quickly, John Stones' joy turns to confusion as the ref weighs the goal off. Apparently, Bernardo Silva was interfering with Jose Sa during the header, which leads to the ruling no goal. Obviously, Pep Guardiola loses his mind. Now he's yelling at the fourth official, and everyone is just looking around perplexed. Which brings us to VAR. And England, I don't get it. I simply don't get it. How do you not understand how to use instant replay? There's like 4 of you guys back there. You're all like legal refs, right? Do you not understand your own rules? Because we can see it with our plain eyes. But here's the thing. I'm actually talking about other calls involved here because I'm going to be that guy. And I'm no fan of Manchester City. I am quickly losing faith in VAR in England because you guys are incompetent. But we can clearly see on the replay that as the header is being hit, Bernardo Silva is clearly ducking out of the way, not interfering with Jose Sa. And here's the thing. Bernardo Silva is like 5'2". Even if he was standing up straight, he's not going to interfere with the line of sight of Jose Sa. So initially, the goal is given, then it's marked off, and then upon further VAR review, it is put back on again, and the champs escape with 3 points. And people say, it's the oil money. The Premier League just wants them to win another Premier League title. Do they? Do they really want the Premier League to just become another Farmers League, like Ligue 1, or the Bundesliga, where you know which team is going to win every single year? But hey, that's my 2 cents. And on the other end of this, another soul-crushing loss for Wolves. Like, I'm sorry, bro. When it rains, it pours. But that's going to be it for Hate Watch this week. If you guys did enjoy, please put your hard, erect nipples smush into the like button right now. Helps me in this godforsaken algorithm. And as always, thank you to all my patrons keeping me alive and well. Thank you to 2 of my newest patrons, Israel Valladares and Philip Moore. A big welcome to the newest member of the GOAT tier, Movadoc. And as always, a thank you to everyone who's already in the GOAT tier. I'm talking about Elm, Robert Matai, and Peter Barr. Special thanks to Alex and Lewis for helping me edit this video. And yeah, until next time, boys, stay thick.